Okay. Let's go ahead and get started. But first, I just need to apologize for not coming live today. Uh, just to be honest, my internet has been really spotty the last day and a half or so. And then I checked it out today and it seemed like it wasn't really much better. And so instead of trying to go live today, and then have to ditch that effort and record it anyway, I thought I'd go ahead and record it and then I could just pop it into YouTube and then share the link on Facebook, and then that way people could check it out. So I apologize for that. Also, it's a kind of a busy day, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make the live 1 o'clock anyway. So, and then to be honest, I'm just really tired. I just have not had a good night's sleep the last couple nights, and I was just sitting here before I started recording and just like summoning up my courage to, or not courage, but my energy to record and get this done today because I do want to stick to it. No matter how I'm feeling, no matter how tired I am, I want to stick to this notion of spending an hour making a monster. So today I thought I'd do something a little bit different. I've been focusing on sculpture, and so this is sculptural, but it's a little bit different. What I'm thinking of is going to be more of like a puppet. It's going to actually be interactive. Now it's going to be out of paper. So I'm going to be making paper. So it's not going to be the most durable thing, but if you got some construction paper, this is awesome. Especially if you have kids or if you're making this with kids, it's a fun little project to do with them. But you're going to notice a lot of similar things, similar techniques. But just going to share how you can take a flat piece of paper and make it into some kind of like puppet head if you wanted. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about what we're going to need, what we're going to use, and then we'll get started. Okay, so I've got my 9 by 12 construction paper. This is that True Ray construction paper. Nice bright. I'm going to use this turquoise blue today. And just really going to focus on the head. If I have some time, I can put arms and legs on it. This is a pretty quick construction, so it's not going to be as long as the monsters that I've been making the last few days. So the way I make this, there's no really right way or wrong way. This is just a technique that I devised. What I like to do is to take the paper and you can fold it completely in half if you want to. That works out really well. If you wanted to, you could kind of have it off a little bit. There's really no rule that says you have to fold it in half. But folding it in half, it makes it easier. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold back the top part. Okay, so I have like this little book. So I'm going to fold this back. I'm going to leave 2 inches or so here when I fold it. Okay, and it doesn't have to be exact. I mean, if you wanted to get exact, if you want to do some measuring, by all means. Okay. Now I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to fold this part back the same way. So I just fold this back, and if I wanted to, I can line them up so that they're even, and if they're not quite even, that's okay. All right, so what that does, if I look at it from the end, it's like a big letter M, right? Or if I hold it the other way, it's a W. Okay, and that's what I want because this part right here is going to become the mouth. So when I open it up, that's the mouth. Okay, so I can do all kinds of stuff. I can put eyes, I can put horns, put spots, I could put a tongue. I can do all kinds of things with this monster. Okay, and then the only other thing that I can think of, or that I would have to do, is I want to have something in the back, like a loop or a strap that I can, because right now I can't really open the puppet's mouth. So if I have time, I'll show you how I do that. But yeah, so that's basically it. That's the big monster's head. So that's simple. And for now, I'm just going to flatten it like this so that I can think about the eyes and maybe some spots, the horns, that kind of stuff. If I wanted to, there is another thing that I can do, and that is to do a cut and actually fold the sides back, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to keep it simple. And so I got my monster head, and now I want to start thinking about the details. Okay, so I'm going to stick with the eyes and the horns and the spots first. So let's go ahead and think about that. I think I'm going to use, I've got that darker purple. See if I have any big scraps of that. The nice thing with this is that you end up making like a big monster head, and then it's a little bit easier to work with because everything's bigger. All right, there it is. Okay, so I'm going to do some big circles for the eyes, and monster, make as many eyes as you want. I think I'm going to probably just do 2, but I can make them nice and big. So I just like kind of starting off with a square piece, just like I've always done. So that's going to be a really big eye, which maybe it'll be too big. I don't know. We'll see. So this is just something a little different. I mean, I always think about the paper sculptures. They're not very durable. They won't last long. Yeah, you can keep them sitting up on a shelf for a while, but it's like they get dusty and they're hard to clean. So it's like it's really they're more temporary. So the same thing with this idea of having a paper puppet. If you actually use it, if you do this with a kid or, or you make it and somebody's using it, it's going to fall apart after a while, but that's all right. Art doesn't have to last forever. Okay. So I like that. All right, so I got 2 big eyes. I think I'm going to go ahead and do the little pink circles inside. Okay. All right. So there's always a variety of ways I could do it. So like with this, I know that this rectangle is not as wide, so I kind of know like, okay, that's a good size, and if I end up taking it off a little bit, then that should be okay. It's a little wonky. Got this kind of little lump on the side here. Alright, so I think that's looking pretty good. And then, same thing, I know that this rectangle is smaller than that circle, so that's going to be a good size. Okay, those look pretty good. So since I'm using bigger pieces of paper, I pulled out a slightly bigger paintbrush. I think I'll go ahead and glue this down. Now the one thing is, this is very similar to the very first collage that I had done in this series, where it was just a big monster head. And actually this paper, when it's folded up like this, is about that size. Oh no, actually I guess I was using a smaller paper. I've made a few of these throughout the year, so it's like sometimes you get things mixed up. Just like the eye kind of sticking out the top, maybe even having this one stick off a little bit. Okay, a little bit of white. So again, if I know that the piece that I'm cutting off is a little bit thinner than the pink, then I know that that's going to be a good size, and I won't have a whole lot of waste. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. This time of year, my allergies really start to act up. Okay, there's eyes. Now let's do the pupils. Maybe make that a little bit smaller. And so, like with some of the others, I'm going to just kind of make them a little cross-eyed. And the nice thing with such big eyes is that I'll be able to do the reflection part a little bit easier. If I got glue all over my thumb though. Alright. Okay. So that looks pretty good. So one thing that I could have done is I could round off the corners, so I could, just trim those off if I wanted to, but it's not necessary. And now I'm putting on the little part that's going to be for the horn. Yeah, I think I started doing these little things, just kind of thinking about how, there might be like a little disc or something that the horn grows out of, and I think it was just a way to add a little detail to the horns, so it's not just the horn coming straight out of the head. I don't know, just kind of helps make things a little bit more interesting. Chance to add a little bit more color, a little more detail. And I don't want to have like super big horns. And I think I'm just going to freehand these. And I was planning to make it a little bit wider. So it didn't quite work out the way I wanted it. There we go, I like that one better. Okay, so I think he's ready for some spots. I've got a few choices, but I have this other kind of turquoise that's just slightly a different color, and I kind of like that. So I think I'm going to use that. I don't know if you can tell, I have a little bit of glue there where I dropped the paintbrush. So if I wanted to, I could easily cover it up, which I probably will. And it's often easier to do big things just because it's easier to cut things out, easier to glue things down. Sometimes folks want to like work real small, and it's like, well, you know, you end up trying to cut and work with tiny pieces. So I have those 3 spots, and I kind of want to balance them out. So I'm going to put some smaller ones over here, just to give a little bit of balance. Not quite as big, though. Okay, so I think I'm kind of done with his face part, and there's a couple more things I want to do. I want to give him a mouth. So right now it's just kind of a big blue mouth. So what can I do to make that a little bit different? And I might think about putting black in there. I could put a tongue, I could put teeth. There's all kind of things I can do. If I wanted to, if I would have folded this so that these two weren't even, I could have teeth sticking out. I never thought about that. Maybe that's something I can do. I mean, if I wanted to, I could try to fold it a little bit differently now. But I don't think it really matters. But what I'm thinking about is I want to have some black in there just to kind of show that it's a mouth. So I've got this piece of black, and that right there is a nice straight line. But here's what I want to do. I want to leave a little bit of blue around. So I'm going to cut a rectangle that's not quite as big as this rectangle, like the whole mouth part. And I could measure that, you know, I've done that before. But if I do it this way, and I can mark it, if I wanted to, I can sketch in, because that's not quite straight. Same thing over here. All right. So I want to cut from there. The problem is I don't have over here to look at, so let's go ahead and so I think I am going to measure just to get a couple good accurate measurements. So it's like 3 1/8. Just going to mark that a couple times. And the nice thing is, like, I can hide the pencil marks. Okay. Let's go ahead and get rid of this big extra. And if you have a paper cutter, you know, you can always cut this kind of stuff on a paper cutter to get it nice and straight. So that, you know, allows me to kind of double check. Just make sure everything's even. Okay. Okay, so that's going to get glued there. Just like a big kind of rectangle. If I wanted to, I could round over the corners. But there's a fold there where the mouth is, so I need to fold this. So if I fold this in half, okay. And what I'm going to do is, let's go ahead and I could put glue on the whole back, but what I'm afraid of is that I'll stick it down and I'll get it in the wrong place and the folds won't line up. So this way I can just kind of focus on one side at a time. More glue. So what that's going to allow me to do is to lift up the mouth a little bit and then slide that fold right into the other fold. And now I can do this. So here's a little tip: when paper's folded, the paper that's inside, if you have two pieces that are folded together, the piece inside sort of slides a little bit, moves just a hair, just because of the fold. So if I close down the mouth on top, that should make it easy to basically open and close it. All right. Now the thing is, it might not be able to lay totally flat, and that's okay, because it's not supposed to lay totally flat. It's going to be folded. All right. So, you know, getting the monster mouth, and And then I think he needs a tongue. So let's take a little bit of red. Now I don't want the tongue sticking out. I want it to be inside, so it's going to be kind of a shorter tongue than perhaps I normally would do. So, I could leave it like that. It's totally inside of the mouth part, but I think I want it just a little bit shorter. So the easiest thing is just to trim off the back. There we go. And then I can take, let's take this like a magenta pen. Just going to be a kind of a darker reddish line. All right. So when I see something like this, I think about like the Muppets. If you ever watch the Muppets, a lot of them have in the inside of the mouth it's black, and they have a tongue. Sometimes they even have teeth, but it gives them a little tongue. All right, so he's pretty much finished on the front. If I wanted to, I could give him teeth and other things, but he's pretty much done on the front. Now I want to think about the back. I want to think about some kind of loop or strap on the top and the bottom, so that way I can like slide my fingers in and then slide my thumb in. And it doesn't have to be anything super fancy. Let's see. All right. So the idea is that it just needs to be long enough to go over my hand. Okay. And with a little bit of extra to kind of tuck in. And so I'm going to fold a couple flaps, a couple tabs. And actually, I find that if this is a little smaller than my hand, if I can't get my hand all the way in it, it's actually a good thing. And I'll show you why after it dries. I mean, there are other ways of doing this, but I want to be able to hold. I just want to be able to hold it. And so just kind of have it kind of domed up a little bit. And I'm going to glue it close to the fold. And I want to be able to slip my fingers in it, but I don't want it to be so big that it like just really balloons over top of my fingers and I can't hold on. So here's why I was saying that it's okay if it's a little bit, if I can't get all my fingers in because that's a little tight. What I do is I take my fingers, if I can get 2 of them in, and my other 2 fingers can hold that. Now I'm going to be careful because it's not dry yet and I can easily pull it off. And I'm going to do the same thing for my thumb and have a little part down here for my thumb. This little extra piece might be good. So again, I just need to be able to like kind of get my thumb in there a little bit. Because it'll go more like that. Yeah, that's pretty good. So I think what I'm going to do is create this part first, glue that together. Yeah, I think that might work. Had to kind of undo this part so I can get my thumb in it. Right. And I can tweak that until it really fits and works really well. But yeah, so there's my little monster puppet. Makes me, again, all these monsters all make me smile, make me crack up. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this kind of doing something a little bit different. And like I said, there's all kind of variations, all kind of things that you can do with these kind of paper puppets, and you don't have to do it exactly the way that I did. Whatever works, or you don't even have to do a puppet. So the idea is I'm just doing lots of different things, and just kind of felt like this was a natural extension of the paper sculpture. And but anyway, so I mean, kind of cute little. Oh, make sure you. So got my little puppet going. This part is his head's really heavy. His eyes are really heavy. It's kind of pushing that back, so I may have to figure out a way to get that to stay. But yeah. Now, the one thing that you could think about, and this is what some of my students do, is they put legs. So they'll put like little legs coming out of the bottom here, and they'll put little arms coming out the side, and so they end up like basically having like these this part down here becomes the body, and it's kind of cool. But anyway, so yeah. I have to work on the mouth a little bit, make it open and close. Sometimes I find if I can I'll take my thumb completely out though, and that just seems to work a little bit better too. So anyway, I hope you appreciate it, or I hope you had fun with it. I hope you enjoyed it, and tomorrow I don't know if I'll be able to video or I won't live stream, but it's the weekend, so I'll might make a video or I might not. It just kind of depends on what I get into tomorrow, but I will make a monster. So anyway, I appreciate you tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed it, and see you tomorrow. And as always, happy creating.